Hey y'all, today's episode is about the timeline and process for application to dentistry in the US. So here we are, all of us graduates from all over the world, some of us who are fresh graduates, while some of us who've been dentists for a while now. There are a lot of options to pursue dentistry in the US, however, the DDS DMD option is one of the most viable. There is a lot of planning that is required before we can apply to the DDS programs all over the country here. The application process happens in 4 phases. The first phase is the CAPID and the application cycle. This goes on from March to June. Most times it also extends to the rest of the year. However, most schools are between March to June. Following this, you have the interview calls, which happen between July to October. This comprises of a face-to-face interview as well as bench examinations. After that, you have your acceptance letters to schools that happen somewhere between September to November. And finally, your school starts in March to June in the following year. So that means that if you want to start school between March to June 2020, then you apply to the CAPID cycle of March to June 2019. So what are the steps? The first step is the Dent Pin. The Dent Pin is a dental personal identifier number. Basically, it's a unique pin that they give you, and you use that same pin throughout your whole dentistry in the US. It is used to register for exams, to ask for results, to order extra copies, and to get your license, etc. Also, the Dent Pin is a free registration, and we have another video covering how to register for your Dent Pin. The second step would be ECE. The ECE is basically the Educational Credential Evaluators. So what they do in simple terms is that they convert your education hours and your marks from your home country to the GPA system, which is what is required in the USA. To do this process, they will ask you for some of your documents, the original copies, and you post it to their office. They evaluate, they calculate your ECE and GPA score, and they return all of your documents. The next step is the TOEFL. The TOEFL is basically a test of English language. So what this is a 4 to 5 hour long online exam. They test you on your writing, your reading, speaking, and listening skills. TOEFL is fairly critical in your application process. A lot of schools require a pretty high score of TOEFL, and this is basically just for you to prove that you can speak English well and mingle with the people in the country. Also, the TOEFL scores expires every 2 years. So if yours is beyond 2 years and you're applying to the cycle, then you will have to retake the TOEFL. Step 4 is the National Board Dental Examination. So this has 2 parts for now, but it is also going to become an integrated 1-part exam from 2020. So basically, the National Board Dental Examination is the part 1 is basically basic sciences, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, all of that, and it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for the results of the NBDE Part 1 to come out, and only then can you register for the NBDE Part 2. So the NBDE Part 2 is basically the second part. Again, it is going to be integrated from 2020. The National Board Dental Examination Part 2 basically is your last exam that you need to take before you can apply to the US dental education system. So again, Part 2 can only be taken after you clear and pass Part 1. Again, the results of NBDE Part 2 as well takes about 4 to 6 weeks. So make sure that you have it taken care of well in advance before your CAPID application cycle starts. Following this is the letters of evaluation and statement of purpose. So usually you can do this while you're waiting on your results of NBDE Part 2. Letters of evaluation are basically letters written by your professors or people you've worked with, and where they are recommending you to schools. The more personal the letter, the better are your chances. They don't want a letter which is very generic, maybe citing examples of things that you specifically were done with the person who's writing that letter will really make your application stand out. Same with statement of purpose. Instead of just writing that you love dentistry and that's why you want to do this, maybe try to include a lot of your personal experiences with dentistry, things that interest you about dentistry, specifically what you are going to do with DDS once you get the degree, all of that. We will have more discussions and blogs about the letters of evaluation and statement of purpose, but try working on this as soon as you're done with NBDE Part 2 so you have everything ready by the time the results come out. After this is your research on dental schools. This is something that you will actually keep doing throughout the whole process, but one of the things that you need to look at is the application requirements. A lot of different schools have different requirements. Even though CAPIT does a good job of summarizing everything, there are a lot of other small things which you will know from people. Stuff like, where they prefer green card citizens more, or green card holders more, or they prefer master's degree. It's more of a research school, more of a clinical school, stuff like that. So basically, this is the time you reach out to people on Facebook, reach out to us, reach out to everybody you can. Try to get as much information as you can before you apply to dental schools. And also it will help you determine your priority, where you apply first, and which areas you want to live in, taking into consideration everything else of that locality as well. The second thing would be your deadlines. The deadlines are different. Some schools require extra documents or essay answers, even despite having the CAPIT answers. So they may have different deadlines specifically for that school. So make sure, again, you know everything that the school needs and what their deadline is. And after that is the application fees, something that we shouldn't forget. This whole process is going to be really, really burdensome when it comes to finances. All of the application, CAPIT, the interview process, the bench exams, staying in different cities for the interviews, all of this. So it's very important that you start right now to start accumulating and keeping that money aside that you will need for this whole application process, so that you don't compromise on any application just because you weren't able to take that much money out. After all of this is the final month of March, which is the CAPIT cycle. This pretty much in most years start on the 1st of March. As of today, most schools are on rolling basis, and also otherwise schools prefer first come first serve. So the earlier you get your applications in, the higher your chances are. Again, the only way we can get this done is if you plan way in advance, such that your NBDE Part 1, Part 2, the TOEFL, all of these are taken and the results are out before March 1st. Keep in mind, it might take you a couple months to study for Part 1, a couple more months to study for Part 2. So give yourself like a good 6 months prior to take both the exams and be ready by March. Talk to your professors, talk to the people who are going to write your letter of evaluation. Tell them that you need a drafted copy ready, so that the minute the CAPIT application cycle starts, they have the letter and they can send it in. Also do your research and all of the preparation that we just talked about, such that on March 1st you have everything ready and you can apply as soon as the application cycle starts. We will talk more about the application process, the whole CAPIT cycle, and everything else. We welcome any questions, and we will be happy to help you. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for watching. Hope we helped.